We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 502. I'm your main man behind the microphone and your current Scholars of Wrestling World Champion. I am Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week, representing the undisputed scholars, he is Scholar Brian. Scholar Brian, how's the night treating you, sir?
A lot better than the last 2 weeks. I can speak and I have power. Awesome.
Brilliant. Gotta love it. And of course, your AEW Collision World Champion and mine. You know him, you love him. He is Scholar Pete. Scholar Pete, how you feeling tonight, sir?
As I live and breathe. What is going on, gentlemen? Welcome back, Scholar Brian. Great to see you. Great to be here. Great to be supporting my AEW fan base here on the Scholars of Wrestling. And I cannot wait to predict Dynasty with you fine gentlemen this evening.
Yeah, you heard it there. You heard it here first, and you read it in the title of this video. We are talking and predicting AEW Dynasty 2025. We're going to go down each and every single match with you tonight. We're going to predict it all, but first, we have to kick things off the right way here on the Scholars of Wrestling show. I'm going to put my title belt to the side for just one brief moment, because if we're going to talk AEW, we need to talk about all things AEW in a little segment we like to call the Collision Corner. Pete, you are the AEW Collision World Champion. Review it for us. Tell us what happened on AEW Collision this week.
Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to week 2 of Collision Corner, your lively greatness of AEW Collision content. Let me tell you how great this week is, but before I do, make sure you like that subscribe button, like the video, comment below, let me know what your favorite match is. Of course, I'm starting with the match everybody can't wait for. Of course, it's Godfather versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan in a battle in a home match. I mean, this one has been brewing for weeks, ladies and gentlemen, and you may think that you want to see the main event of Dynasty? No, of course, you want to see Steve Blackman one on one with Spike Dudley in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Now, I know you can think to yourself, my God, I saw that back on Saturday Night Velocity back in 2004. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what, this is not 2004. This is AEW Collision. This is 2025. And ladies
That
and
is my
gentlemen,
match of the year. I'm sorry I had to interrupt and put that out there. Go on.
match of the year. Let me tell you, when you watch AEW Collision, you are in for a great time. In our last match of the evening, it is by far the best match of the night. It is our main event. You think that a Hell in a Cell is going to bring the people in? No, no, no. We're going to have the greatest WrestleMania style match you've ever seen. We're going to have a casket match. Yes, a casket match. You think it's going to have The Undertaker? No, no, no. It's going to have the reflection of perfection, Mark Jack. Yes, he's coming back. Of course, he's going to face, oh, testify to Mark Dudley. I
I'll
can't
tell you
wait.
what, I have to admit, I saw spoilers of Mark Jindrak versus Devon Dudley. Oh my Lord. You didn't think that they could get away with this outside of WWE? Not so.
As
My
soon as
mind was
I
blown.
as soon as I saw that spoiler, man, I was locked in.
But look, that's your AEW Collision recap. I mean, so much great things to come. Just wait till next week when we have the signing of two superstars you'll never guess. So make sure you keep it locked in to Collision Corner, and I am your Collision World Champion.
Thank you very much, Pete, for talking about those completely real and completely authentic breakdowns of AEW Collision, the greatest show in the history of professional wrestling ever. But now it's time to enough of last week's Collision. Now we need to look ahead to the future, or in this case, the present. we need to look at AEW Dynasty 2025.
And hold on to that thought because if you didn't already have it on your run sheet, a match has been announced right now that is officially on Dynasty, and it's the Bandito versus Chris Jericho for the ROH title. It is on.
I already got it. It's already
Okay.
locked in. It's on the run sheet, and we're going to be getting back to that shortly. But the first one I've got on my run sheet here is Mercedes Moné versus Julia Hart in the Owen Hart tournament first round. For this one, I am going to, as reigning champion, I am going to defer my first pick to the next person in line to Pete. I'm going to give this one to you because I know how much you're a big fan of Mercedes Moné. So break it down for us. Pick it. Who do you think is going to be advancing in the Owen Hart tournament first between Mercedes Moné and Julia Hart?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's start this Dynasty prediction show with a spoiler, which is not a spoiler. Y'all know where I'm going with this. You know who's walking out. It's gonna be Mercedes Moné for the win because, by God, why would you lose the first round of the Owen Hart? No, that's not what she does. She is easily winning this match because why would she lose in anything? She's the CEO. Mercedes Moné. Back to you, Jeff.
And with that, we're moving over to Brian, who's got the next pick. Who do you got between Mercedes Moné and Julia Hart?
I'm not going to go into the character voices, but I will agree because let's face it, this version of the Owen Hart tournament is a vehicle to get to a Mercedes Moné Athena match in the tournament. And in order to do that, they are on the same side of of a bracket. You got to have Mercedes Moné win. You got to have Athena win. Whenever that match happens, that's a spoiler. But Mercedes Moné beats Julia Hart here because this entire tournament is a vehicle to get that specific match.
Well, considering you said the quiet part out loud, I have no choice but to go along with that. It seems like
With the
we've got an
voice?
accord. The voice.
Are you going to do the voice? What's her name?
Her name is Mercedes Moné, and she is going to eventually extend her feud with Athena, which is the match I really want to say and see. Ba-boom. But now that we have that out of the way, let's move on to the men's Owen Hart first round tournament, where Will Ospreay will go one-on-one with the newest signing in AEW, Kevin Knight. I have to admit, I have not seen too much of this guy, but I know what Will Ospreay is all about. But Brian, none of that matters because it's your pick up first. Which way you going?
Look, I enjoyed Kevin Knight's showing in his first match, which got him signed to AEW in the first place. But you're up against Will Ospreay in the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament. No shot. Will Ospreay moving on to the semis. That's pretty much as easy a slam dunk as the first match.
I can't disagree with you. Although I have to admit, I think there's a higher than zero chance that Kevin Knight could get upset victory over Will Ospreay here and then just get eliminated by somebody else. I don't think it would be unheard of if they're really hyping up this Kevin Knight guy. But yeah, it's possible, yes. Is it likely? No.
I
So
feel like the reason I feel this way is because he's an obvious replacement for Jay White, who got injured. If Jay White was not injured, dude wouldn't be in this tournament. which is another reason why it's like, okay, it's a showcase match for Kevin Knight, but that was supposed to be Jay White's spot. So there you go.
All the more reason that I also am going to go with Will Ospreay. Pete, it's over to you. Do we have an accord?
I mean, of course, it's very complicated because, I am your AEW Collision Champion, and I could tell you the truth and go one way and, just make my fellow scholars go, "What are you doing?" and then surprise them with an awesome win. But of course, Will Ospreay will win this match just because of his experience alone. It's a great showing for Kevin Knight, but I think they'll go with the experience. It will end up where he trips up. Will Ospreay will, as the veteran, will counter it and continue on. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be one of those great matches that, you know, what a great showing for the card. If this started off the show, I would not be surprised.
I can also see that happening. Next match, we do have the AEW tag team titles on the line. The Hurt Syndicate defending the belts against the two members of the Learning Tree, Big Bill and Brian Keith. And for this one, I have to admit, it's my pick up first, by the way. I have been very intrigued by the involvement of MJF with the Hurt Syndicate right now. It's like I mentioned weeks ago, the pairing of MJF, MVP, and Bobby Lashley is one that I really didn't expect, but one I'm very delighted to see coming about here. And I think that's going to start coming to a head with the Hurt Syndicate eventually defending their titles on this night. I'm going to go with the Hurts. And I cannot rule out the fact that there may be some possible interference from MJF, or at least some sort of a appearance from him of some kind. Possibly him still trying to ingratiate himself with the Hurt Syndicate. But that unpredictability, that layer of mystery is what I still find so compelling about this whole storyline here. Pete, which way are you going?
I mean, you said it right there, Scholar Jeff, to what they're doing with MJF and everything. It's great. And the big thing with Brian and Bill, they're great, incredible stars. But right now, the Hurt Business is just on some great momentum. I think with the addition of MJF doing some kind of interference or something to continue that storyline, it's a great storyline. We talked about it last week on the show, where who'd have thunk that we would see MJF versus Bobby Lashley. And now that's what I want to see. I never thought I wanted to see it, but no, AEW, now I want to see it. Give me a great story, give me a compelling story. I think it's going to be a nice tag team match, but the Hurt Syndicate, of course, will reign on top. Scholar Brian.
And Brian, it's back up to you. Do we have another accord?
Yeah, we do. It's one of the. I like Big Bill since he has come into AEW. I haven't seen enough of Brian Keith to really have an opinion one way or the other. But as a tag team, they're solid. But there's too much going on storyline wise, and there's still way too much uh, room for this title reign to grow that there's no reason to take it off them at this point. Hurt Syndicate retains.
Very good. That will bring us to the next match on the card. We've got Daniel Garcia defending his TNT championship against Adam Cole Bebe. Pete, it's over on you for the first pick for this match. Which way you going?
I mean, we're going to see a new champion here, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Cole, baby, is going to take home the win and become the new champion. I mean, I have to say that Daniel Garcia has done an incredible job with the TNT championship. I think this is going to be a great match. I cannot wait for this match. I can't wait to get your gentlemen's thoughts on this match. But Adam Cole, baby, is new champion, baby. Scholar Brian, what's up with you, buddy?
I'm sad to say it, but once again, I am in agreement.
Well,
We
we're
are
going to
going
agree
to
on
have,
everything on this show, gentlemen. I hate to break it to you. This is a very predictable show, I feel.
uh, maybe not, but as I said, there are some things where we may differ. However, this is not one of them because this is the one for me obvious title change where there is no back and forth here. I feel like Daniel Garcia has done a good job with the TNT title. I do not think there's any, as I said, Hurt Syndicate, there's room to grow. I don't think there's any more room to grow here. I think that his title reign has run its course, and I want to see new blood with the championship, and they've built it up well. They've built it up well enough where I can see and accept Adam Cole as your new TNT champion, and I'm rolling with it.
And I think we've got a trifecta going on here. I may be alone on this, but I feel like Daniel Garcia is good, but he's not wowing me. Like he hasn't quite, I don't know, it's just something about him is just not quite clicking for me. He's a good wrestler, but it's not like that extra little something that's really hooking me. Like legitimately, until about a week ago, I forgot that Daniel Garcia was the TNT champion. It's just he's just not clicking for me. But if Adam Cole were to win this, and I think he will, that will make me remember, oh yeah, who's the TNT champion? Oh yeah, Adam Cole, baby. I think he can do a lot more with the TNT championship, at least for right now, until they really solidify what the TNT championship title scene looks like in 2025. I feel like that needs a bit more fleshing out at this point. But be that as it may, yes, we have yet another agreement. Adam Cole is going to become your new TNT champion. That, of course, will bring us to our next match. We've got for the Ring of Honor Championship, and it's a title versus mask match. Chris Jericho defending the ROH title versus Bandito, who will put up his mask if he loses. And of course, if Chris Jericho loses, he loses his ROH title to Bandito. With all that in bank, Brian, it's your pick up first for this match. Who you got between Jericho or Bandito?
Come on. Bandito's not losing his mask. Bandito is beating Chris Jericho for the ROH title. And maybe, just maybe, we might start giving a damn about ROH again. Probably not, because AEW certainly doesn't. But
Hope springs eternal now, doesn't it?
but with a new champion, we might give it, maybe something cool can happen. And look, mask versus title, mask the title will always change hands. If it's just a mask match, then maybe. But mask versus title, the title always changes hands.
Yeah, I have to remember some of the mask from the mask versus whoever matches. I feel like that's
Jericho
must have
versus
happened at
Jericho
some point.
versus Mysterio, Intercontinental title. Jericho is the king of these matches. He does mask versus title every time, and he loses the title every single time. It's
And
fine.
not the point I was making, but still the result I believe is going to be the same. Bandito is definitely going to win this one. Really, I think Jericho only got the title at this point just to see if they could court some TV eyes to see if they can get a TV deal for ROH. From what it seems like, that's not happening. So back to tending to your core audience, I guess. So yeah, bring Jericho back up to the main AEW roster, do something with him, and then let Bandito kill it in ROH. That's why I see it going anyway. Pete, Which way you going?
Gentlemen, we have a triple threat here. Of course. Of course. Like, it's the hello. I'm not even going to talk
Hello.
anymore. I'm not even going to talk. Look at the weeks that we've had on Collision, real talk. Like, like, this is his time to get. He's had his fun. It's time for him to pay. It's time to grow up and have ROH mean something that's not Y2J related. Bandito for the win.
And with that, we'll take it to our next match on the card. We've got the AEW Trios Championships on the line. We've got the Death Riders defending against Rated FTR. Now, this is what's an interesting one because Rated FTR, there seemed to be some trouble in paradise there. Meanwhile, the Death Riders seem to be as united as ever. So, you know what? I'm thinking I might go for the Death Riders on this one. There's going to be some implications that happen later on in the evening that will lead to certain outcomes. But until then, I think the Death Riders are going to retain. There may be some division that costs them the match between at rated FTR. But how, where, why? That remains to be seen. But ultimately, I think it's going to all go in the same direction. I think it's going to result in the Death Riders retaining the trios championships. Pete, which way you going?
I mean, that's what's going to happen because we're going to see the demise of the rated FTR here. We're going to see shit go down. We're going to see chaos ensue, and the Death Riders will eventually capitalize and take the win. Clear as crystal. This is probably, no disrespect, my least looking forward to match, but to what you alluded to, will not be as big as later on in the evening.
And Brian, it's your pick up next. Which way we going?
Oh, just another agreement because they've, we're gonna have the final implosion here, and with I would I can see Edge turning on uh FTR because it's been throw a little swerve in because it's all been so far about Dax having issues with Edge or Cope, if you will, and
Hopester.
and Wilder, and I think it's gonna be Cope who finally has enough, and that'll start the road to an Edge and Christian or a Cope and Christian Cage reunion, so we can have that fun little piece of material for the end part of the year, probably for an all-in kind of thing. But in order to get there, yeah, with the rated FTR implodes, the Death Riders retain. And for me, this match doesn't have any implications for later in the night. You'll
All right
figure that
then.
out. You'll
All
figure that
righty.
out in a bit.
Hey, we're almost there anyway. So, meanwhile, before we get to that, we've got our next match on the card, which is the triple threat match for the International Championship. We've got Kenny Omega defending against both Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey. Pete, it's your pick up first. Which way you going?
I'm very upset with you, my tag team partner, because I thought how this was gonna fall. I was gonna get the Tony Storm match because I couldn't wait to talk about the Tony Storm match and surprise you, gentlemen, right before your eyes. But I guess I will settle for what's going to be a fantastic triple threat match in what a look at what. First of all, let's just take a second to appreciate heel Ricochet. Let's talk about this fucking baby ass face guy in WWE that just did cool moves, known for his, craziness. But then you put him in as a heel. He's doing great work. You have Mike Bailey doing some great things. But the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Omega will not be dropping the belt after just winning the belt. That is Scholar Brian Logic 101. Can I get a Scholar 5, Scholar Brian? Thank you, Scholar Brian. It's he's not going to lose. It's going to be a great match. It's going to show everybody off. But you know how it's going to walk away, and who's going to walk out is, of course, Kenny Omega.
All right, Brian, take it away. Which way you going?
I said it at the last pay-per-view. I'll say it again here. They are going for Omega versus Okada at All In Texas. In order for that to work, Omega needs to keep his title. So that's my reasoning on top of Scholar Brian 101, which is he just won the title, he's not losing it. Scholar 5 again.
I'll tell you what, as much as I like variety, sometimes these things just make sense. I will say, I think Speedball Bailey does have a slight chance, a higher than zero chance, but like I mentioned before, I think the writing's on the wall here. Most likely, by far, it's going to be Kenny Omega retaining the title. Then for our penultimate match, we've got the AEW Women's Championship being Toni Storm, Timeless Toni Storm, defending against Megan Bayne, the gigantic newcomer. Brian, which way you going?
I've got Toni Storm retaining.
That's it?
It's one of those it would be very. I know that Pete said this is a very predictable show. If it was a very predictable show, then Megan Bayne would Hulk out and win Brock Lesnar style. But I do not believe, with the performances that Toni Storm has been putting on this year so far, I do not believe you have her lose the title before the big show at All In Texas. I do not believe you should have her lose the title after still my match of the year. Toni Storm versus Mariah May, final ending. And then you're just
Seconded.
gonna have her lose the next month, lose the title instead of building something for her to lose at the big show. No, I think that it's been I think the run continues. I do think that Megan Bayne will be a champion in the future. I do not believe it's now.
I'm going to have to second that one. Toni, of all the matches where the principle of she's not going to lose it right after a match like that, that's got to apply here. Toni is too over, her aura too strong. They just needed someone big for Toni to fight. That's why they're only pushing this so far. Maybe it'll be a multi-person match later on down the road with Megan Bayne in it. But right now, all signs point to Toni retaining. Pete, you got a little something to say about this match. Let us know which way you're going.
Gentlemen, we do not have an accord. Megan Bayne is walking out your women's champion. Because let me tell you what this Greek goddess is. She is something exciting to watch. And what could be more exciting than seeing Who is your face everybody loves? Timeless Tony Storm. Oh, F your sword in the scholars right there, ladies and gentlemen. But the fact is, watching the show, I'm going to hit you with the hard truth. And the hard truth is Megan Bayne is walking away champion. I think that Tony Storm will put up a hell of a fight, but it will eventually fall to this just goddess of a wrestler who's just going to make the biggest impact and then have that Tony Storm crawling back up to get to that moment. I hear where you're saying, Scholar Brian, and I wish we can Scholar 5 again, but the fact remains that Megan Bayne is going to walk out your new champion.
Very interesting. A bold pick. Let's see if it pays off for him, Cotton. But now is the time where we finish it up and we lay it all on the line. Is the main event, most likely of the evening, Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Championship against Swerve Strickland. Let's see, we got Tony. I believe the next the next pick is going to be mine. And so, yeah, I'm going to say it. This is going on for far too long. Jon Moxley, as much as I normally love him, this storyline is not working, but they needed the right guy to take the title off of Jon Moxley. And I'm completely convinced Swerve is one of the few people who reasonably could. It's the right place, right time. I'm going to go with Swerve to become a two-time AEW World Champion. Especially, I'm just going to say this right after what we saw last week on Dynamite, where, yeah, Swerve actually showed some humility in front of Hangman. So I think Hangman might actually come around and be one of those few people actually that helps defend Swerve and Nana against the rest of the Death Riders who are not injured. If anyone tries to interfere, Hangman can show up and actually back up Swerve, equal the odds to some degree, and it'll be just enough for Swerve to take the win and to become a two-time world champion. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Scholar Pete, which way are you going?
You can times that exactly by two because you are completely correct. He will be a two-time champion. Not only that, you hit it on the head. As soon as you saw you broke into my house, you burned my, I know. And the storming off where I'm like, well, this is going to come back around and it will be coming around at Dynasty. Like you said, we love me some Jon Moxley, but this shit is so outplayed. It's like I said, and like you alluded to earlier, just moments earlier, when we said this is going to be the shakeup, I think this is the time. No more huge momentum is behind Strickland, and now this is the moment. This has to happen. If it doesn't, I have given up on the AEW World Champion, and I will continue to be your AEW Coalition World Champion. Scholar Brian, what you say?
I'll be the guy. The smart move, I agree with you. The smart move is to have Swerve Strickland win the title here, to have Hangman Page win the Owen Hart Invitational, and main event your big show with Swerve versus Hangman Page for the title, because we haven't had that yet. However, some things kind of threw me off a little bit with the ending of Dynamite and also the seeding of the Owen Hart tournament. They may, even though the Death Riders attacked Swerve Strickland at the end of the show. Swerve Strickland still looked really strong at the end of the show, laughing off a power bomb and through glass. Okay, and do you take it as Swerve Strickland admitting all that and Hangman walking away, and do you take it as I take it as Hangman not knowing what to do with that? However, the big thing is Hangman versus wild card opponent. They haven't signed anyone that I know of, and there's still somebody waiting in the wings who we thought at the beginning of this was supposed to be the one to end to end the to end this storyline. I know they haven't said anything about Mount Everest. We don't know if he's actually done it. We don't know if he's going to do it. But that that seeding threw me off because normally a wild card opponent is a big deal, and when you throw him up against Hangman, I would expect it to be something big and something big to happen that would cause Hangman to lose. So I am going to go with Hangman to come out and try to stave off the Death Riders who will inevitably come out. And I don't know if he's going to accidentally cost Swerve or if Swerve's going to not be paying attention. I'm going to go with Darby Allin being that wild card opponent, and I'm going to go with Jon Moxley to retain.
Very interesting.
I'm like, everything was fine. I was all Swerve. I was all Swerve until that attack, and then until I realized the seeding of the tournament. Because it's like, why are they putting a wild card opponent with Hangman?
I'll tell you what.
And a wild card opponent in a battle royal is where you get the Leo Rushes, is where you get the Johnny TVs, where you get a one-on-one match is normally a big deal, and I haven't heard of anybody who's potentially signing with AEW that could fit as a wild card opponent. Maybe Josh Alexander, but I don't think that's a big enough deal for a one-on-one match in an Owen Hart Invitational. That's a big-time tournament. So if there was to be an accidental if he accidentally costs Swerve Strickland the title while trying to help him, and then Swerve takes it as a slight, and we're right back to where we started. It's just Swerve versus Hangman without the title. As I said, the smart move is Swerve winning here and having it be for the title at All In Texas. However, the way they've been running this Death Rider storyline, I'm not fully convinced, and I'm going with the bullshit ending because that's the way it's been going for the last however long.
Very interesting. That I have to admit, that was a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. This, I'm very curious. I can't help but be curious.
It's one of those things where it's you think it's black and white. It should be black and white, but it's really not as black and white as you two were putting it.
I'll tell you what, this one is going to be very, very interesting. And this, honestly, this might be one of the few things that actually sells me on the rest of the show, period. Honestly, just because of how many different ways this can go and the potentiality of not just seeing a great match, but finally bringing this storyline to an end. Will I be correct in that? Will we all be collectively correct in that. Well, time will tell, but with that locked in and our predictions on paper, now is the point where we're turning back over to you, our fellow fans. Who do you think is going to walk away with the AEW championship? Who else is going to win at Dynasty? What matches are you going to be looking forward to seeing the most on AEW Collision? No matter what you think, let us know all across the internet. YouTube comments, Facebook posts, Instagrams, the Twitter machines. You know where we're going to be. And if you want to join us on the Twitter machines and actually join the conversation yourself, Brian, where can I reach you?
You can reach me sitting on top of the mountain, ready and willing to call out potential bullshit endings because nothing's on the line and I'm not, and I don't have anything to worry about at Atomic Beanpole.
And Scholar Pete, where can they reach you?
Of course, they could always reach me defending my AEW Collision World Heavyweight Championship at Improv Pete.
And you can find me at I'm Robbie Rage. And now, with all that being decided, we have to gear up for AEW Dynasty, which we're always going to be doing because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
See you all at Dynasty.